Hello everyone. I'm Dr. Preeti Salve from KLE College of Pharmacy, Belgavi. Today we shall discuss different physicochemical properties in relation to biological action. We know that every drug which we ingest elicits some pharmacological effect on our body. There are different physical and chemical properties which influence the interaction between the drug and any biomolecule. All of these together may comprise the physicochemical properties, which include solubility, hydrogen bonding, partition coefficient, ionization, chelation, protein binding, bioisosterism, optical and geometric isomerism. So out of all of these different properties, today we shall focus only on the first two, that is solubility and hydrogen bonding. Let us look at the first property, which is solubility, and it can be defined as the concentration of the dissolved solute which is in equilibrium with the solid solute. It also depends upon the nature of solute and solvent, temperature, pressure, and pH. Solubility may also be expressed in terms of affinity or repulsion. This entire process of solubilization depends on various intermolecular forces like van der Waals forces of attraction, dipole-dipole bonding, ionic bonding, and ion-dipole bonding. So let us look at each of these one by one. The first one are the van der Waals forces of attraction, which may be considered as the weakest intermolecular forces, and they require about 0.5 to 1 kilocalories per mole of energy. Usually these forces occur between non-polar groups, for example the bonds that are seen in hydrocarbons, and they are highly dependent on distance and temperature. Next are the dipole-dipole bonding, which are stronger bonds as compared to the van der Waals forces, and they require 1 to 10 kilocalories per mole. Usually these bonds are seen between electronegative elements that are bonded to carbon, and also between electron deficient and electron rich atoms, which together constitute a dipole. Example of these bonds are hydrogen bonds. Next is the ionic bonding, which is an electrostatic attraction between cations and anions, and usually they are seen between inorganic compounds and salts of organic molecules. These types of bonds are relatively strong with energy requirement of 5 kilocalories per mole. And then there is ion dipole bonding, which may be a bond between a cation or an anion and a dipole. These bonds are also strong, which require 1 to 5 kilocalories per mole of energy, and they have low dependence on distance and temperature. So for every drug to elicit any biological activity, it has to be in a properly soluble form. So for drugs which are partially soluble, need some methods that may improve the solubility of those drugs. And they may include structural modifications, use of various co-solvents, or use of surfactants, and complexation. So we'll look at each of these methods one by one. The first one is structural modification, which may include the alteration of structure of the molecule or reduction of intramolecular forces. So the structure of the molecule may be altered by addition of various polar groups like carboxylic acids, ketones, and amines. So whenever there is an increase in hydrogen bonding or increase in interaction with water, it ultimately results in increase in solubility. Next method is by reducing the intramolecular forces. So as we reduce the intramolecular forces, there is subsequent decrease in the melting points and increase in the solubility of the drug. The second method is use of different co-solvents like propylene glycol, polyethylene glycol, ethanol, and sorbitol. All of these tend to increase the solubility of hydrophobic molecules. But there is a disadvantage that they may cause precipitation of the drug and tissue damage or pain upon injection. Use of various co-solvents decreases the dielectric constant, which may in turn increase the solubility of the drug. Next method is use of surfactants. which will definitely increase the solubility because they are amphiprotic in nature, and usually the non-polar drug will partition into the hydrophobic core and solubilize the complex. Next is the method of complexation, which depends upon weak forces like van der Waals forces, hydrogen bonding, and hydrophobic interactions. So, the complexing agent binds to the drug to form a complex. So, increase in the concentration of the complexing agent will definitely increase the solubility of the particular drug. Now, the main reason for studying the solubility is that it governs the preparation of liquid dosage forms, and the drug must be in solution before it is absorbed to display or exhibit or elicit any kind of biological activity. The drugs have to be in solution to interact with the receptors, and drugs have some solubility in both aqueous and lipid compartments. Next, we come to the second property, that is hydrogen bonding, which may be considered as a type of dipole-dipole interaction between hydrogen atom and an electronegative atom like oxygen, nitrogen, or fluorine. So these are some examples that you can see. Bonding between water molecules. So there is formation of bond between oxygen of one water molecule and hydrogen of the second water molecule. Also between ammonia water molecule and ammonia hydrogen fluoride molecules. So you can see in each of the molecules, one hydrogen bond of one molecule is bound to another electronegative atom from another molecule. Now there are various types of hydrogen bonding, which are intermolecular and intramolecular hydrogen bonding. As the name suggests, intermolecular hydrogen bonding will be within two molecules and intramolecular will be within the same molecule. So the first bonding is intermolecular hydrogen bonding, wherein you can see these two examples of hydrogen bonding in ammonia and that in water. So as there is an increase in the intermolecular hydrogen bonding, there is an increase in the boiling point and effective increase in molecular weight. For example, ethanol has molecular weight of 46 with a boiling point of 78 degrees Celsius, whereas 1-butanol, it has a molecular weight of 74 and hence a rise in boiling point of about 118 degrees Celsius. The second type of hydrogen bonding is the intramolecular bond, which can be seen by these examples, that is hydrogen bonding in chlorophenol and hydrogen bonding in O-nitrophenol. So as there is an increase in the intramolecular hydrogen bonding, there is a subsequent decrease in the boiling point and the solubility of the drug in water also decreases. For example, as you can see over here, O-nitrophenol has a boiling point of 215 degrees Celsius, whereas para and meta-nitrophenol have boiling points of 279 degrees Celsius. So if you see the distance between the two functional groups in O-nitrophenol and the P-nitro and M-nitrophenol, you can see that the distance has increased. So the intramolecular hydrogen bonding increases, then boiling point is going to decrease, and if the intermolecular bonding decreases, the boiling point is going to increase. So there is an inverse proportionality between both of these. Next we come to various effects of hydrogen bonding, which may include boiling and melting points, water solubility, strength of acids, spectroscopic properties, surface tension and viscosity, and biological products. So we'll look at each of these effects one by one. The effect of hydrogen bonding on boiling and melting points, we have already seen that in the previous slides. So with increase in intermolecular hydrogen bonding, there is an increase in boiling point. An increase in intramolecular hydrogen bonding decreases the boiling point. Next is the water solubility. With increase in hydrogen bonding, there is a definite increase in solubility. For example, ethanol and methanol are considered to be highly water soluble because of the hydrogen bonding between the molecules. Also, various polyhydric phenols and sugars are also considered as highly water soluble because they have more number of hydroxyl groups which are available for hydrogen bonding. Next is the strength of acids. So for this, let us consider the dissociation of any free acid into its constituent cation and anion. Any structural feature that contributes to the greater stability of an anion in comparison to the free acid shifts the ionization equilibrium towards the right hand side. So anions can be stabilized due to intramolecular hydrogen bonding. So as the intermolecular hydrogen bonding increases, the strength of acids also increases. Next are various spectroscopic properties. So the hydrogen bonding shifts the positions of bands in the infrared and NMR spectra of the organic compounds. For example, ethyl alcohol in the vapor form displays an absorption band at around 3700 centimeter inverse in the IR spectra. This usually happens due to the free hydroxyl group that it possesses. But the same compound, that is ethyl alcohol in solution form, displays a band at around 3500 centimeter inverse. So the previous band which was seen at 3700 is totally replaced over here, and usually it happens due to the hydrogen bonded hydroxyl groups. So you can see there is a direct shifting in the position of the bands in the spectra of the given compound. Next is the surface tension and viscosity. So various compounds like glycerol, glycol, sulfuric acid, sugar syrup, phosphoric acid, etc. They are considered to be very viscous due to the extensive hydrogen bonding that it possesses. So as the hydrogen bonding increases, surface tension and viscosity also increases. Next, we come to the effect of hydrogen bonding on biological products. The three-dimensional structures of proteins and nucleic acids are due to hydrogen bonding. For example, in alpha helices, the hydrogen bonds extend from the hydrogen atoms of the polar amide units in the peptide group to the oxygen atoms of the polar carbonyl groups. So with this, we come to the end of the discussion of the first two physicochemical properties, that is solubility and hydrogen bonding, and we have seen how it affects the pharmacological action or biological action of any given drug. Thank you.